How's it going, everybody? This is Cameron White with White Light Astrology, giving you guys your November 2018 horoscope for Pisces. So, Pisces, this is going to be an interesting month for you. To begin the month, we have on November 6th, Uranus retrograding back into Aries. So Uranus has been in Taurus in your guys' third house for a little while. So Uranus being, liberation, explosions, big insights. In your third house, you're really experiencing this in different ways that you can do things and how you can really utilize what you really have. But as Uranus retrogrades back into Aries, you're going to see the shift really come more focused on what do you possess that can really help you get there. As Uranus is all about, freedom and things happening, extreme ups and downs. It's kind of chaotic. It is the wild card. As he goes back into your second house, money's going to be a little bit, up and down for a quick second. It could just be out of nowhere. However, it's also going to be really good for kind of taking what you have and you getting the most out of it and seeing how much you really can get out of it. On the same day, we also have the North Node moving into, well, actually I should say the nodes. The nodes moving into Capricorn and Cancer. The North Node will be going in Cancer, and we'll be talking more about this later on, but I do want to just focus on the North Node for right now. And as the North Node enters Cancer, the North Node is going to be focused on your fifth house, where the North Node is kind of like our soul's calling. It's our soul's compass. It's the dragon's head. It's what we want to consume. It's what we're hungry for, what we kind of like yearn for. It's been in Leo. It's been in your sixth house for a little while. So really stabilizing your solar energy, being able to, put the best of you that you can in your day-to-day stuff. Now that the North Node has done its stuff in Leo and we've had the eclipses there, the North Node is going to be moving into Cancer, where it wants to protect, where it wants to nurture, where it wants to grow, where it wants to relate and wants to trust. It is going to be going into your fifth house. And your fifth house is all about love, romance, passion, art, music, creativity, children. The fifth house is basically, it's kind of like, now that the third house is, or I should say the first house is who you are, second house is what you have, third house is how you use it, fourth house is what you kind of made, like where you're kind of centered, who you're kind of with, and the fifth house is what you kind of do. And with the North Node moving into your fifth house, into Cancer, you're going to be experiencing a lot more of a urge to move forward with things regarding more of your personal creation, something that means more to you, something that's more in your authentic place in terms of Cancer, in terms of relating more and protecting and nurturing and honestly just being with your emotions, especially with this fifth house. You may want to be tended more towards kids, or you want to focus more on your art and things like that. To continue on November 7th, we have the new moon in Scorpio. And this is a big deal for you because we've had Jupiter in Scorpio for about a year now, and he's been in your ninth house. He's been showing you a lot more of what you believe in the deep, dark depths of that and what it really all means. We've had Venus retrograde right here, where you've had to really reshape and revalue your belief system in order to kind of get the things that you really want to and stop seeing things in such a, scary way is a good way to put it. And now that we have this new moon here, this is going to be a time to kind of not necessarily reset, but kind of give us a quick breath, replenish that energy and start from a new level of awareness, start from a new level of experience. So this new moon is going to be really nice for things like, going somewhere, it'd be nice to like go travel somewhere or go read something or go learn something, ninth house activities, but the ninth house being, about philosophy, spirituality, with the Scorpio stuff and this being a new moon, this really is just about giving yourself a quick breath of fresh energy and getting, more clear and more focused. And it's kind of like, putting, like Scorpio is like the going from a cold to a diamond. It's like that pressure. And so it's like now that you've experienced that pressure, now you can take a deep breath. So then the next day on November 8th, we have Jupiter moving into Sagittarius, into your 10th house. And this is really big for you because Jupiter, all about abundance, all about expanding, all about, blessing and faith and belief and just good things. He's going to be going into your 10th house of career, of your public vocation, of what people know you for. And he's also in his home sign of Sagittarius. This is going to be a really refreshing energy with your career and what you're kind of doing. Like it's, especially if Jupiter hits your midheaven, it's like literally anytime Jupiter hits your midheaven, it's all like, I always see a lot of people start their own businesses, but either way, Jupiter going through your 10th house, things are going to be better for your career. Maybe an advancement, maybe a pay raise, maybe things are just do more in alignment with what you want to do. But we'll be getting more into that as we talk about Mercury's retrograde and everything like that through Sagittarius. Mars is also going to be trining Venus the next day on November 9th. Venus has been retrograde. She went from retrograde to your 9th house to your 8th house. She will still be retrograde, but she is in her home sign of Libra. But the thing is for you guys is that she's in the I almost said the 11th, the 8th house. And the 8th house is a very scary place, and Venus doesn't want to be there out of anybody. And as Venus is in her home sign of Libra, she's still retrograde. She's still learning to really adjust what value really looks like in terms of understanding other people. The 8th house is kind of like what other people have. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's like nightmares and dark things and sex, death, and stuff like that. But the 8th house is really what other people really own and what they possess. And as Venus retrogrades in Libra, it's kind of reshifting your perception and your sense of value with other people and what they have. And as Venus, she's not direct yet, she's still retrograde, she's still revaluing, reshifting things. We have Mars in Aquarius trining this. And Mars has been in Aquarius, in your guys' 12th house, for a little while now. He's been kind of bringing up a lot of the stuff that you repress and a lot of the stuff that really holds you back from, you being you. And as Mars moves forward and makes this trine to Venus, this is going to be an area to really understand, fully, clearly what it is that you've repressed and what it is that you haven't related to other people. And this is about the bad things. Venus and Libra in the 8th house, it's like someone who should be treated very fairly wasn't treated so properly. And Mars got to bring up the aggression and the boundaries that you need to bring up while it was going through your 12th house. And this is just the manifestation of that moving forward, of that progressing, knowing where your boundaries are, knowing where you need to place your value in other people, and seeing it for, its true colors, basically. Then on November 16th, we have Venus going direct. That's when things are going to start to look a little bit better as far as getting the value that you deserve from other people and making sure you're getting treated right and having that, not only that self-respect, but having other people respect you for what you need to be, for how you need to be respected, basically, and what's going to be just and what's going to be fair. The same day, Mars is going to move into Pisces. It's going to be in your first house. And Mars in Pisces is a pretty big deal because he's been in Aquarius for quite some time, but as he goes into Pisces, into your first house, this is where Mars, the warrior, the action-oriented person, gets a little bit lost and gets a little bit confused in Pisces because he doesn't have any boundaries. He doesn't have, it's kind of like I don't play video games, so I'm kind of like bad at analogies with this, but it's like Call of Duty, you have a mission, you have to go kill. It's like very Mars. But it's like with Minecraft, you just do whatever. And that's like Mars in Pisces is kind of like, what do I do? There's no like thing to do in this game. And so as Mars goes into Pisces and starts to question, what are its motives, what are its actions, what is it relating to, and where does it need to sever from, what ideas and what beliefs does it need to sever from, this is going into your first house of yourself, of your personality, of just you in general. And as Mars goes into Pisces, this is going to be a big shift in really how you do see yourself and where you kind of relate. And this is going to be kind of like bringing to light, I don't want to say bringing to light as in the sun, but bringing, Mars inflammates. So when you have a Pisces rising and you have Neptune there's a lot of fog, there's a lot of unclarity, there's no boundaries. Mars is going to come in there and kind of stir up a little bit of chaos. So it's really up to you to go, where do I need to sever myself and be a little bit more clear with my actions and my intentions? And where do I also need to realize that, what do I need to realize about myself that's worth exploring more and worth continuing on? Anyway, right after that, the next day, it's like literally things are just happening one day at a time in November. Mercury will go retrograde. Mercury is going to be stationing retrograde on November 17th. It's going to be squaring Neptune exactly. Neptune's in your guys' first house, and it's not the biggest deal, but your overall sense of self and perception is just overall just kind of everywhere, and it's going to be for a while until Neptune moves on. But Mercury's in your 10th house, and Mercury's going to be in Sagittarius, in his detriment, where he kind of gets overworked and can go a little bit too fast. And so you could be taking a lot of career things on a little bit too fast right now. And as Mercury retrogrades and it squares Neptune, you may have a little bit of maybe I can't handle all of that, and I need to be a little bit more clear about what I'm doing, what I'm projecting, and being more clear and not so rushed in career things, because your career life is really going to speed up really fast. 2 days after that, on November 19th, Mars will be squaring Jupiter. And as Mars is in Pisces, you're kind of like, okay, finding a little bit of problems with yourself, wanting to kind of sever and tear away from certain confusion and ideologies. It's going to be squaring Jupiter in Sagittarius in your 10th house. And as Jupiter's up there, kind of going, hey, this is what's going on in your career. This is, you know, what's being fortunate. How do you need to change in order to fit this picture and fit this mold a little bit better? It's kind of like, you may not like tight and uncomfortable spaces, but if you want to go on a road trip, you have to let go of that and you have to be willing to work with it. And that's probably the best way to describe Mars being in your first house and it's squaring Jupiter. You have to really work with yourself in order to get the picture, to get the ball rolling, to get, you know, the car moving, basically. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but it is for the best. Yeah. And then after that, on November 22nd, the sun will then enter Sagittarius. You're on work mode. Things are, you know, probably picking up in your career, or for you're retired, you're kind of just chilling and things are just kind of out and about. The 10th house is kind of like how everything is being viewed from everybody else's perspective. On the same day that there's a full moon in Sag, the sun goes into Sagittarius, there's going to be the full moon in Gemini. And that's a big deal, because as all of this career stuff's happening and all this stuff's starting to move forward and go a little bit faster, we have this moon in Gemini that brings light to what we always don't see. The moon is another luminary. It just really lights up what we don't always see, the unconscious, the dark, the nighttime. And this full moon's going to be in your 4th house of your family, of your home life, of your where do you center yourself? Has more to do with your parents too. So as this full moon happens, this is in Gemini, so a Mercury ruled sign. So we're talking about, you know, information. We're talking about, you know, basically messages, getting the right word, getting communication really like up to the forefront of emotion. And as this happens in your 4th house, as this career stuff happens, you're going to start to become more aware of where do you need to center yourself, in what understanding. It's kind of like you're going to have news or something brought to you, and you have to recenter yourself with this and figure out a way to adjust to that. And it's not necessarily going to be a bad thing, but it is going to be very overwhelming. Mercury's going to be retrograde during this time. We're going to have Jupiter in Sag, Sun in Sag. It's squaring your It's squaring your 1st house. It's squaring your ascendant. It is going to be a little bit overwhelming. So the biggest thing is just try to center yourself as much as you can on what you know, what you understand, what is fact for you. And it's really just going to be becoming awareness of more about what you do want to center yourself in and more what you do want to pursue. Right after that, man, on November 25th, we have the sun conjuncting Jupiter at 3 degrees Sag. So this is really setting the new tone for Jupiter and Sagittarius, really looking at how it can expand your career and your public vocation and all that good stuff. Neptune will be going direct that same day too. That's not a big deal, but just wanted to throw it out there. The Sun-Jupiter conjunction will last until the next day on the 26th, and they both move from 3 degrees Sag to 4 degrees Sag at the same time. And then to end it, on November 27th, we have the Sun conjuncting Mercury, or I should say Mercury conjuncting the Sun. As Mercury goes Cazimi, this is when Mercury's going to have kind of like, oh, Mercury's been a little bit overwhelmed and confused and anxious as it's been in your 10th house. It's been wanting to accomplish and go, go, go. But Jupiter may have given him a little bit too much of a workload. So as Mercury conjuncts the Sun, this is kind of like going, okay, where can I best channel my energy? Where do I really want to take this? Where do I really want to go? Finding that inspiration again and finding more of the clarity in a spiritual form rather than so much of a mental form. And right after that, on the same day, Mercury will then conjunct Jupiter. So it's kind of like getting really clear with what path you want to take and what that looks like, and having Jupiter being like, hey, look, like, we're on board for this. I want to help you out with this. You just got to be able to you got to be able to handle everything that you're taking on. Then on November 30th, we have Venus opposing Uranus at 29 degrees Aries in Libra. This is going to be a little bit intense. As I said, Uranus is in your 2nd house, where we're talking about your possessions and what you own. Venus is in the 8th house of other people's money, of inheritances, of death, sex, rebirth, of problems and stuff like that. This is going to be a little bit intense here when we're talking about, you know, what you have and what other people have, and there's quite a bit of tension, a lot of explosive tension. So just be really aware of definitely the 30th of what's kind of going on with your stuff versus what, you know, other people got going on in their life. And the last thing that's really happening is Mercury's retrograding back into Scorpio, where, you know, Mercury was in Sagittarius and we're trying to do all this career stuff. As Mercury goes back into Scorpio, Mercury's going to have a very spiritual or philosophical idea that gets him more focused, that gets him more trained, that gets him more specific about his goal and what he wants to communicate and what he wants to do. So that's how you're really ending off the month. There's going to be a lot of change. This is a lot of good stuff, but it is going to require you to get out of your comfort zone and really see how you can change and how you can, I don't want to say calm down, but take everything all in. And that's what I got for you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing. And I'll be seeing you guys for next month's horoscope.